Okay, today I'm gonna break down. Am I in focus? Okay, now I am. I'm gonna be breaking down my De'Aaron Fox edit. Um, I'm just gonna start posting graphic design stuff on the channel, and in the future, I'm gonna do like mic'd up videos and highlights for the high school. So subscribe if you want. First thing, you want this. You want this picture. This is what I use. It's just some dude, like a weird cave waterfall thing. I found this on Unsplash. Unsplash is like a copyright free, usually copyright free um, image website, and you can just find a bunch of cool stuff on there. Second thing I had was, well, this rock. So this is from an old Ja Morant edit I found. I was trying to look for like a big flat rocky surface that I could set him on, but I couldn't find one. But I did know in one of my other edits I had one, so I just used the magic selection brush, went over here, and then cropped it out. And then you got this. So obviously it doesn't match, but that's fine for right now. Next step was, well, obviously getting him in there. You obviously need, like I said, I just made sure he covered up the person. Let me see how he's actually standing. I shift him over a little bit. Just like that. I just cut them out. I used remove background. I very rarely use the pen tool. I hate using it. So I just used remove background, and then I use a brush in the mask to clean up some areas. But it did pretty good job for what I wanted. The beam's super simple. So for the beam, I just grab this rectangle. Hold on. I made this glowing rectangle thing right here. This was just like a pink, light pink, purple, I guess you can say, beam with, let me show you, these Hourglow sayings, this color overlay. This is the color I use, and I think that's all I did for the beam. What I did do to make it look better, I think I converted it to a smart object. I filtered it, Gaussian blur a little bit, made it a little more blurry, and then I overlaid it with fire, and that looked pretty cool. So this is what I did. I just put fire, made a clipping mask, and then yeah, and I did the same exact thing, except I flipped it this time, made it come from the top, and that's all I did for the beam. I just did a hue and saturation layer. You can see the settings. I just went to the reds channel and moved it away, because you can see really I just want to change this red light to purple light, and I did that, and that makes it fit way better. So we have this floor. I brought down the exposure to make it darker, obviously because it's in a cave, it needs to have darker. Then I lightened the exposure a little bit on the edges, because that's where it's going to be brighter. This was most likely on 100% opacity brush, 0 hardness, and 40% flow. Basically did the same thing, but I did a colorize layer for purple. So I did HSL colorize, made it this, I guess you can say, dark purple, and then I lightly brushed it on to give it a purple hue on the edge. And then I basically did the same thing but brighter purple and made that closer to the edge. And then I believe this one is just a lighter one. No, I didn't even do that. So I just gave it a nice little outline of purple on the edge, so it looks like it's bright on that outside but dark in front of them, because like that's how lighting would work. I use this fog brush I have. I believe it's Fog 3 I always use. I do not know where I got this brush from, but I love it a lot. I use a light purple pinkish, I think it was like this, and then I just put it in front of the cave and the beam, but behind the cliff thing. Is that where it was? I think I had it a little lighter than this, so let me do, and then turn down the opacity a little bit. There we go. Okay, I like it like that. Might be a little different from the actual picture, but this is the general idea of how I did it. Then after this, I just, like I said, you know how that red's there that you don't want. I put This is only above like the cave. This is not over De'Aaron. I put this all purple filter on, all purple color eyes on, and then it just made everything like blend together way better. You can see that, and then it goes to that. So that's how we got there. Now it's just to color him, and then the floating rocks, I believe, and that's pretty much it. First off, levels. So this is how I do my player treatment. Is that what it's called? Player treatment. Yeah. So I set it to levels, create clipping mask, multiply, invert the mask, grab my brush, 0 hardness, don't need it this big, opacity at 100, flow at like 18, and then this is for shadows. So you want to paint on with white and just color over all the shadows and dark places on him. So this was before, this is after. I might duplicate it and then turn down the opacity a little bit, and then I might erase over his eyes because he looks sleep deprived. Okay, now we duplicate that, but we're deleting this. Delete the mask, switch the mode to screen, then invert the mask, and then you do the same thing but for the light areas. Now you draw in the light areas. You obviously don't have to do this, I just like doing it. So that's what we got so far compared to the beginning. You may not notice the difference, but I definitely do, and I like it like this. His eyes are kind of weird though. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, that's better. Now it's time to match him into the scene. This is my first one. It's an exposure mask, so I have to change everything up. So I just brought him down, made it darker, and then I just probably with a 40% flow, I'm guessing. This is what I normally do. And then I just went over where this is basically where you think it would be light, because there's probably like an actual way to do it, but I'm not great on how lighting works, so I just do where I think he would be like lighter due to the light behind him. Okay, then I just added a couple more exposures, but these are just for like his feet, because I wanted to make his feet darker to match because usually the closer they are to the ground, the darker they are. You can see in like edits usually. So like his hand should be pretty dark, and then this back foot should be pretty dark. So I got a hue and saturation and turned down his saturation a little bit. So you can kind of see like skin color, but he's like turning gray now, you know. I just colorized him. I got another hue and saturation and made it purple. And just turn that down a little bit. Yeah, just highlights now. So for this, duplicate the purple layer. Sorry, my things are so unorganized. So I'll make them really purple now, like this type of purple. Invert the mask, and then on his edges, similar to the exposure, just make them purple, like the brightest purple. Not the brightest, but like this. On the ball, especially over here on his head, his hand. His hand actually wouldn't be that like that. It would be like this. So now you get this picture. I know it doesn't look as great as it came out, but this is like literally the exact steps I did to get here. Just takes a little bit. I think I can make his arm a little more purple, so I'm gonna turn on the flow to like 19. Yes. Now for this final layer of hue and saturation, well, maybe not final, but now you turn it like to this, like bright purple, invert it, and now you go over like the small, like right over here, so it looks like he's glowing. And now we're pretty much almost at the end of all the hard stuff. So you're at this. He looks unsaturated, but that's fine. Time to do his glowing eyes. I do glowing eyes different like every single time. I don't know how the right way to do it. I'll just copy and paste them and show you what I did. So these are his eye shapes right here. I think I just inner glow and outer glow on them. I actually turned the outer glow up. Ended up turning it up a little bit. Layer dodge add. Ooh. Turn the opacity up. Size up a little bit. There we go. Like that. That's what I did. I just used the pen tool to make shapes over his eyes that were white, and I grouped them together so I could do the same things at the same time. I think this might be the last hue and saturation layer. I colorized, made it like a bright purple again, inverted the mask, and then like on the face where he's glowing, I just made it more purple because it's like glowing. So obviously this is gonna be more well lit than the rest of his face, like that. I guess we can do his crown next. The crown's pretty easy to do. Let me find that image. I just remove the background. Does a pretty good job. Then I, with flow all the way up and opacity kind of high up, I just get rid of this so it looks like it can fit someone's head. I can change it up in a sec to be even better, but this is a good enough for now. I'll duplicate this just to keep a safe copy. There we go, down, and then we just resize it to his head. How big did I make it on him? We're gonna control and then click on the corners to shape it to his head. I'm shaping it. Then we're gonna, never mind, another hue and saturation, colorize, make it purple. Like that. I think actually I don't even need the exposure. I think I just need the hue and saturation, and then I can bring it down a little bit. It looks out of place right now, but we're gonna add a shadow underneath it. So what I do is just create a layer, add black, low hardness, and then I just draw it underneath. I might change the flow to like that, something like that. I could probably turn up the lightness a little bit. Yeah, that's good to me. Next up, I think it's the rocks, and then we're done. Other than the final retouches, that's what I meant to say earlier, player retouches. Okay, these are the rocks that I used. We're just gonna flip them like this, turn them a little bit, and then make them bigger to take up the whole screen. There we go. So this was like actually harder than I thought it was gonna be to do. It's not that bad. Again, hue and saturation. You need a lot of hue and saturation, I'm realizing. Make it like this purple. Make it a little darker though. Like that. And then what I did was I duplicated it. So it's just the normal rock layer again. I went to effects, blending, fill off, and then inner glow. I made like the pinkish purple, like it's a highlight, like this. Is it showing? Yeah, here we go. I made it like this. It's probably more of a pinkish. There we go. So now you might be saying like, why didn't you just use inner glow? It's different. It's so I can mask it. So I turn this layer down a little bit, and then I create a mask. Oh wait, no, sorry. I convert this to a smart object, then I create a mask, and then I can delete it because I want the highlights to only be on the top of the rock, so I want to delete like the highlights on the bottom of the rock. So that's what I'm just doing here. There you go. And then finally, I make this group a smart object. I always duplicate my groups before making one a smart object, just in case I have a backup. I highly recommend you do too. I did a little bit of Gaussian blur, not a lot, and then I did motion blur. To make it look like they're floating. Let me fix that. Let me change it a little bit of motion blur. And so that's how we got here, and that's pretty much. It kind of looks bad right now, but here comes like the settings that make it look good. So I make this one solid image. Control Alt Shift E. I don't know if there has to be a certain order for it. Just press all of them at the same time. And I use this same like filter thing at the end, the camera raw filter. I use like the same settings for every project. We're gonna drag it on. Whoops. So let me convert to smart object, drag this on. Let me just show you. I put the filter on and it looks so much better already. Like that just went from being like a 5 out of 10 to 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. So here are the settings for that. Mine are kind of random. I've gotten some from other designer files I've gotten, but let me just show you all of them. Texture clarity, not curves, detail, sharpening's up, and then for effects, just some grain and vignetting. And that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed that video, please leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, I might be doing more tutorials on how to do stuff. I'm definitely gonna do graphics, highlights, and mic'd up videos for